why do we need to use Identity and Access Manager, or IAM? Why don't we just use the root credential that we created in the previous section for everything? Well, for our one little user AWS environment that we're working with, it shouldn't really matter very much because we're the only ones accessing the environment and we're the only one with those root credentials. But we have to think in most AWS environments, there's not going to be only one user. The root account is fully privileged, and that means that it cannot be limited. So for that reason, the best practice suggests using this account as little as possible. In the next section, the first thing we're going to do is create an admin account that we can use throughout the course and stop using the root account. Another best practice is to not allow multiple people to use the same login credentials. One of the reasons that we want to do this is that it makes it really hard to determine who changed what from an audit perspective. So if we're looking down the road and we have some resources and then those resources go away, we want to be able to understand, why they went away or what happened there. And so if everybody is just using the same login credentials, we're going to go back into our logs and it's just going to show that one login. And so that's going to be really hard to tell what actually happened or who we need to talk to find out more about that. So if we want to allow multiple people to log into a single AWS environment using best practices, we need to use Identity and Access Manager, or IAM. So before we jump into the section, let's take a quick look at the components of IAM that we're going to be using throughout the section and then throughout the course. So first we have users. And users are exactly what it sounds like. They're just unique accounts that are going to be used to access AWS services. So typically we're going to create an individual user account for each individual person that needs to log into our environment. Next we have groups. Groups help us organize users into groups for easier administration. So if we have an engineering team, for example, we can add that user to our engineering group, and then they would have the same rights of everybody else in that group, and we don't have to individually go into that user and make any changes. Next, we have roles. So roles are a little bit like users, but they grant access for services. So in other environments, I've heard these accounts called service accounts, but what they do is they grant temporary access to something like EC2, which we're going to learn about, or an application or something like that, to give that application, to give that service the rights that it needs to complete the function it's trying to complete. All right, and then last we have policies. So policies are the documents or the sets of rules themselves that get applied to either the users or groups, and that's what gives those users or groups permissions. So we're going to be learning about all of these coming up. Don't be too worried if they don't make sense to you now. We're going to be creating them and then using them throughout the course. The last cloud concept that we're going to be covering in this section is the least privilege principle. This is a security principle which we want to grant the minimum rights in order to accomplish a specific task. We need to apply the least privilege principle to anything with rights, so users, groups, policies, and roles all need to have the least privilege principle in mind whenever we're creating them. We should tie access directly to a job function or some sort of a role or a specific business need or something like that. So that way that we really are narrowing down exactly what we need those permissions to be. We also need to make sure that we audit these rights periodically so we can get rid of anything that's not being used, or we can see if we need to grant more rights in order to enable a job function, for example. Let's take a quick look at what this might look like. So if we have an application, it has read rights granted through a role, and those read rights go to an S3 bucket. So this application is allowed to read this S3 bucket because it has that role that allows it to do so. But we don't want to allow the application to get, write, update, do all of these other things. We do not want to give this application full control for this bucket. And so the role is only going to allow it to read, and it cannot get, write, or update to that S3 bucket. This wraps up the Intro to Identity and Access Management, IAM. Now let's move on to IAM components.